Please don't rain. Oh. That is something. That is something. Why is that so? Yeah, it's like it's not even. Morning, everybody. Today I am heading down to Greenwich, Connecticut to meet up with Peter's wife. If you remember from the Charger episode, Peter was quite the character, just an amazing human being, really, really funny, outgoing, and we cleaned up his Charger and he had a blast. Turns out soon thereafter, he ended up passing away, and he passed away on April 1st, or April Fool's Day, and his family mentioned to me that it was very meaningful because he was a very funny guy, and he would have thought that was funny as well. So I'm excited to meet the family, but nonetheless, his wife called me and said, you know, at some point while he was alive, he was so excited about the Charger, he wanted to do the same thing to his other car, and of course, his other car was a 1964 Imperial Crown, I believe. I don't know what that is. I looked it up briefly, and it looks pretty cool. So yeah, we're gonna go down there, check it out. I am going to pick it up with the flatbed, bring it back to the studio, and get it cleaned up, and hopefully his family will enjoy that. So we're heading down right now to check out this Imperial, and I'm pretty pumped. That and a whole lot more on this episode of Drive and Protect. Because this was short notice, a cleaning or a junk crew was called in to remove everything from the garage and the house when my flatbed arrived. The car needed to get out of the garage today because I think they were selling the house or taking photographs or whatever, so it was a bit of a scramble to get it up on the lift. But the first thing that we needed to do was to find the key for the car, and of course there was a zillion of them in the basket, and luckily enough, the last spot I thought to look was the ignition, and sure enough, it was there. All right, so the question at this point is figuring out how to get this car into neutral. Oh, here it is, neutral. Yeah, it's in neutral. Look, wow, that's amazing. It's push button drive. You see right there, it says neutral. Wow, look at the mold. After a few pulls from the flatbed, the stuck brakes popped, and she carefully rolled up onto the lift, which was a great sign. After a quick picture, the Imperial was on its way up to the studio for a major cleaning. So I just picked up the car, and you can see that there was a lot of like kind of junk removal folks there, and she's putting the house on the market. That was just excruciating. I tried not to film any of it. She was just really heartbroken and clearly just loved Peter. And it was tough to see that car go. She loved watching him work on it and play with it and drive it and do all that. She is going, as she said to me, off camera into a retirement home that's relatively close by. And I want to try to do the same thing that we did with Pete, which is to sort of resurrect his Charger and get him back in that car and enjoy it again. That experience was tough. It's just tough to watch a widow see the car go because it represents her husband. And so we're gonna try to get this car running. I gotta get the bumper back on because the bumper's off, and hopefully in a couple of weeks, months, who knows, drive it back down to where she's staying here in Greenwich and take her for a ride. So that's the plan. Let's see what happens. But yeah, tough day so far. Once the Imperial landed, Steve's dad, and Laura came from across the street just to check out this beast. I got good juju here. I don't know about that turbo, that might be locked up, but. From what we could guess, it turns out that Pete likely put a turbocharger on this engine. I'm not exactly sure. I don't know if this came stock. It looks like it was retrofitted. If you guys know anything about the stock engine and or if it came with a turbo, let me know in the comments below. Anyhow, for anyone to work on this car in the future and get it right for the road, it needed to be safe now because it was just vile to stand next to it. A very, very strong smell of mouse urine and obviously poop. Incredible on this car, probably because it was indoors and it was sort of a safe home, a safe harbor for them. So after a few years, I'm guessing, of putting the dryer sheets on, it wasn't enough to battle the rodents. Step one is to empty the car and give her first bath in decades. After the rinse, I used Brute and Boost in the foam cannon to soak the paint and around the engine compartment. For the wheel bucket, I put Brute, towels, tools, and Plum to the rescue. Faded white walls do really well with Plum and 4/0 steel wool, which we'll do on the last step, so more on that in a bit. For the paint, I used foam, lubricant, blue wash towels, and gave her a very gentle wipe down. Now, the point here is check out what came off the car on the ground when I was done. This is why I wasn't trying to grind anything in, and I needed as much lubrication as possible. After the rinse, I quickly dried her off with Hydrate and a damp microfiber towel. With the paint now less poopy, I dropped a chlorine dioxide tablet into water to activate the gas and eradicate really bad odors and odor-causing bacteria within the cabin. This is able to penetrate the upholstery and porous materials, which is extremely helpful, obviously, on the interior of cars. It's super safe and eco-friendly. I usually let it sit about 2 hours or so and then open up the doors to allow it to ventilate. Just to be clear, this isn't a miracle pill either. You do have to shock the system a little bit, just enough to get into the car, and it makes me feel safe when I'm cleaning. So it does zap everything, but you still need to go through the process of obviously cleaning. Next, with the interior regimen set up, I started with lather and a brush just to lift the mold and wipe it away with a towel. Then I used lather again, but this time with steam. With the interior a bit cleaner now, it helped me hone in on a really strong smell that was coming from under the seat, because I wasn't sort of nose blind at that point. I'm going like, everything kind of smells good, but what is under the seat? For this, I used a wet vac just to keep the acorns from clogging up my central vac system. Everywhere else, I used the normal vacuum. After a very, very thorough vacuuming, I sprayed shag on the carpet and then steamed the heck out of it just to release the dirt and the mold before steam vacuuming everything. As you can imagine, the reservoir was, of course, vile. It smelled really, really bad, but I'm glad that that came out of the car. Immediately, the interior started to freshen up and smelled much better. While the carpets were now drying, I added mousse just because they were on the verge of cracking from the years of heating up and cooling down in the garage. That happens a lot, just like paint, but in the interior, especially this older 1960s and 70s, if you let it sit for a very long time, it will expand and contract, and so you could just feel it with your hand. So I put a lot of mousse on there, and it just drank it right up. With the interior now looking and smelling 1,000 times better, I focused on polishing the miles of paint. Now, I'll say that this was actually in decent shape. There were some swirls and, of course, some isolated deep scratches or whatever, but all things considered, it wasn't in terrible shape.
protection, after my polishing, I'm going straight to cream. This is exactly how they would have done it in the 60s, just sort of like hanging out in your driveway, waxing your car, Simonizing your car, that kind of thing. So I wanted to keep that heritage true. I also used flux on the chrome bits, which was pretty much everywhere on a car like this, but it is a testament to keeping a car indoors and what I suspect was probably covered at some point in its storage years. So it really came back quite nicely once I started using my hand and a microfiber towel to bring that back. As you could suspect, the glass was also really, really grimy and kind of like sticky. It's hard to explain, but to be expected from sitting for that long. So I used a scrub pad and a squeegee, as it just cuts right through all of that and doesn't leave any streaks behind because of the amount of, I can't put it into words, it's not like grease, but it's just this heavy gunk that's on the windows of cars that have been sitting for decades. Obviously, these tires are way past their prime, but just for fun on faded white walls, I want to give them a little bit more pop before I put mud on them. And so, as I mentioned earlier, I use plum and 4/0 steel wool, and it pretty much works every time. If you look closely, you can see a little bit of black marks here and there. That's just cracking from over time. You're not going to fix that with cleaning, of course. But nonetheless, she is looking spiffed up in hopes of finding a new home for this project. Afterwards, I added some mud tire dressing, and her penny loafers were ready for the dance floor.
Well, guys, there you have it. The Imperial looks 1,000 times better. Check that out. I think Pete would be really proud of the work that was done here, and it represents him. When I went into the garage, you could see he just tinkered and played with it, and I was, I'm really happy to be a part of this project. The Charger was amazing. Meeting him was amazing. His widow is just phenomenal. She's just a wonderful person. So I wanted to help out as much as I could, just to get this in a condition where somebody can look at it and be like, all right, yeah, I see the vision here. I see that I can, find myself driving this car. So we're looking to move this on to the next owner, but I wanted to at least remove all the mice smell and polish it up and just kind of put the best foot forward. And I think we did that here. So the next thing we're gonna do is Steve across the street mentioned that he'd be willing to come in and sort of help me see if this thing can turn over and hopefully get it started. So we're gonna pull that out. The other kind of twist in the story here is I've been waiting almost probably 4 or 5 months. You see the lifts right there? The lifts, because I do so much cleaning, just started to rust over 5 years. It was pretty normal. I'm gonna remove those and put powder coated ones in there that won't do that, and it'll look a whole lot nicer. So I'm doing that today. So to do that, I have to move this, what I would imagine is a 6,000 plus pound beast out of here and pull her outside. So we're gonna do that in a little bit, but there you go. She looks much cleaner, and I'm proud to be a part of it. So yeah, hopefully we'll move this on to a new home in the next couple of days. So let's pull this out and replace the lifts.
So Steve came over and we tried to pull her out, and attempt one failed miserably. The strap broke because the brakes, one, the car is really heavy, but two, I guess the brakes locked up again and they weren't playing nice. Eventually we got her outside, but in the meantime, the boys from the lift guys came over to replace my old lifts with the new Benpack galvanized lifts that can withstand the torture that I put them through on a daily basis between urine and poop and cleaning and the whole thing. They got smoked in about 5 years, so I replaced them with galvanized Benpack. Really, really cool lifts.
If that would worse, believe it or not.
A few days later, the man, the myth, the legend, Axel, you guys know him from all of the videos, came to help me figure out how to get this beast to at least turn over. So we first installed a battery and then checked the fluids. The goal here is if this thing can turn over, that means there's like way more life. So I've cleaned everything, but if the engine's smoked, it's not very valuable. Nobody wants to take this project on. But if it turns over, you're like, okay, if I just need to fix this or that, I can easier to find a new home. With the battery in, the first good sign was we had power windows and the wipers worked. So for the longest time, we couldn't figure out how to actually turn the ignition key on until I found this.
Well, it's in drive, first of all. It needs to be neutral, no?
Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Good job, Larry.
Yeah,
Good
look at
job.
that.
You smell gas?
I do not.
After filing the points and checking for spark, we were ready for round 2.
Looks like we have some spark. Again.
She turns over now, which is really exciting, but she's not getting any fuel. Next, we stormed over to Steve's to rummage through his fuel line box and to play with the cats, of course. Tux and Big Daddy, they're my favorite. But he has tons of parts, and we were trying to mishmash this all together to figure out if we could get fuel directly into the carburetor. Per usual, Steve, aka MacGyver, managed to piece together an old fuel injection cleaner with a fitting that he bent for us. Then he was able to like hook it up to the carburetor somehow, and then we gravity fed it into the Holly by holding it up just like an IV bag or whatever, and she might idle, which would be insane if this actually worked.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, guys, got a little bit of exciting news. As you can see, we got the Imperial running. It looks fantastic. I wasn't sure quite what to do with it, to be honest with you, and Pete's widow called me and said that she reached out to Ira. You remember him from the Charger. That's Pete's friend. And so she said, hey, he's going to take it, he's going to work on it, and he's going to keep it in the family. So really, really stoked about a happy ending. Right now, we are getting the flatbed to come and to take this car over to Ira. So yeah, really stoked. Huge thank you to Axel for helping me get it running. And of course, Pete and his family. I wish you guys all the best. I know it's been a very difficult time, and he was just an amazing person. So Pete, hope you're looking down and know that the car is going to a wonderful guy and a wonderful place. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Usually when you have them in the lift, you just put
Right.
the lug nuts on here and you just bang it right off, no problem. When you have it on jack stands, it's too scary.
Yeah, and you know,